measure 197 pounds. And this is, I think, honestly, Christian, this is the match that I'm most excited about. Bonaccorsi 7-0, round of 12 guy 2 years ago, and finals the year before against Michael Battista. Now, reliable sources tell me this is the first time you've ever laid eyes on Michael Battista, but allegedly there might be a story you have to tell me.
Oh, yeah. So I've known Michael Battista dating back to his high school years. I used to run a national team, and we brought a team down to Disney duels one year, and for hours, Battista was nowhere to be found. We couldn't, none of the kids on the team knew, none of the coaches knew where he was, and probably about after 2 or 3 hours, we found him in the hotel gym just working out by himself. So
you would have found me there too with him. So I mean, what's the big deal?
So,
I mean,
it pretty fitting. If you look at the guy's arms, you would know that he spends some time in the gym. He just loves to work out.
He didn't skip arm day, leg day, none of it. He's there for all of it.
And
looked like he got banged up here a little bit.
And so
both hit heads.
Batista just moved up. He was a 84-pounder the last few years, moving up to 197. And
yeah. So real quick, just to interrupt you, people should understand right now, if they think it's a concussion, they don't run injury time on either person. Just so if you people are wondering, they get medically checked. They make sure everybody's clear. This happened last week in the Nebraska-Minnesota duel. Liam Cronin and McKee bumped heads, and McKee had to walk off. And the other thing when they come back is there's no choice of position. Like if I get injured, you get to pick where you want to go. They will start where they were. I don't mean to cut you off, but if people don't watch this stuff all the time, I want to make sure they know what they're looking at. So it looks like, worse for wear. I mean, it feels like you probably have to hit Battista with a 2x4 before you even feel it. But good to see everybody's back at it 45 seconds in. Big difference in body types here too, right? Like sort of long and lanky versus just brick house, right?
Bonaccorsi just year over year, just one of the best guys in the country. Right? You could find him in pound-for-pound rankings. He's a real tough guy, and good job creating an angle there. Follows it up with an attack, so great offense.
Straight on, right? Just straight on, no setup. He actually did a really nice job cutting the corner, like you said, kind of going backhands to a modified 2-on-1. He just kind of didn't, I guess he didn't feel like now there's the straight on double again. But this time he got his head out and pinches the knees.
Yeah, did a really good job pinching those knees together, driving his feet.
And this is where, shockingly, a lot of the Pitt guys are good or on top. So, and this is where if you're the shorter guy, wrestling taller guys are
it's a problem.
Can be kind of a problem. Yeah, you can get lost underneath there.
So good job getting to his feet, does Battista, and that's a win in itself, right? These guys from Pitt are phenomenal on top. They're just leeches, and you can get away from one of their top guys.
No doubt.
Small wins. And right back to his offense.
Wow. So it is that cutback single. That's that Ferrari position that he's so familiar with. Like get that head, get those straight arms, pop the head out the far side. So
broken down flat, wrists are in, and good ride. Bonaccorsi, riding time approaching a minute already as we begin to wrap up this first period here.
So good period for Bonaccorsi. Basically up 5-1 at this point, and took some starch out of him. Yeah, so look at this trend line. Like, this is how you want your stock portfolio to look like, right, Christian? Like just -8, +1, even, +2, +7, +15. Like that's a blue chip improvement chart there.
It just shows to the level of development of the UVA coaching staff. These guys bring them in, they build them up, and continuously, are improving. So Escape for Bonaccorsi makes it 5-1. Took about
Battista did kill the riding time temporarily.
it took about 15 seconds off, but
yeah.
you know,
So 5-1, minute and a half. It feels like Battista is used to being the stronger guy and needs to see, like, he did a sprawl, and then I know you teach us, Christian, that secondary sprawl. He didn't. That time he did it, but the first couple times he didn't get a secondary sprawl. It's like a sprawl and relax. And Bonaccorsi, those long guys, have just sucked themselves up back underneath him.
Yeah, and that's where, you know,
Boy, nice fake there.
we've kind of
nice little sugar foot.
we've talked about how Pitt is really good at winning the scrambles, but and wrestling on top. But one thing that I think is underappreciated about this team is how good they are of kind of finishing shots that don't really look like they're great shots at first, right? They're real gritty and kind of finishing that on that second level, which Battista did a good job of defending there, but now Battista kind of backing Bonaccorsi to the edge, and nice shot on the edge, continues to run, goes to plant, but then kind of runs the corner above the knee. Now Nino looking
Battista
to,
needs to square up into him.
Nino doing a good job keeping that foot in, was trying to kind of shelf it across and up, but didn't have enough real estate to finish there. So 5-1, 53
Batista's
seconds
gonna
of
pick
riding
down.
time. Yep, Battista goes down, so riding time will essentially get back up to a minute.
But again, this is where I do think to win the match, you probably got to pick down, hopefully get out quick, even if it's a 110, and then you get the takedown, and then you can take the time off, and now it's 5-4. You probably got to get another takedown, 6-6. I mean, but it's a long way to go,
Yeah, especially on, someone like Bonaccorsi, who kind of fits that typical Pittsburgh mold, right? He's good on top. He's hard to score on.
So Christian, let me ask you this. I know my opinion. I try not to shade it. Let me try to ask this a certain way. Actually, I'm not. I'm just going to ask it the way I was thinking. How good of an area, if you're Pittsburgh and you could just recruit the best kids in a 15-mile radius, how good could your team be?
Your team could win a national title.
Yes.
Easily.
Explain to people what that means, because, not all of us are nerds like you and I are.
Well, I mean, Pittsburgh is one of the hotbeds of wrestling, right? Pennsylvania is the mecca of wrestling, and Pittsburgh is one of those. If we're looking at a heat map, it is scalding hot red.
Yes.
And then you look right, you're half an hour away from the Ohio border. If you're just a little ways away from from West Virginia, and not too far from taking a trip to Indiana, which Indianapolis has got, some great wrestlers. So, geographically, they're just, you could say they're a little spoiled.
That WPIAL, the WPIAL, like, there were certain things when I was coaching in junior college, I would tell people, like, if you could get the guy that took 6th in state in California every year, he went in and out 3 times, and they did, anyway, 14 seconds here, but, I'm like, we could win nationals with those guys every year. And, the thing is, while it's easy to say, okay, well, why isn't Pitt getting all these guys? There's 7 Division I schools in Pennsylvania, including the team that's won 11 out of the last 13. So Battista gets one late, cuts him loose. So it's going to be 7-4. You're probably a little more unhappy, Coach Bonaccorsi, that he gave that one up late. Battista showed some, something sort of one to grow on, to go back to the Schoolhouse Rock things. But so that was a great match. 12-3 Pitt. We'll be right back with 285.